What is up, guys? Speed here, and today we are looking at something very, very cool. The new Invoker set is out. I'm like, why not make a video on it? Super cool set. If you haven't seen it or checked it out yet, you can do it for free in demo mode, and I highly recommend it. But this is Abed, one of the best Invoker players in the world, playing Baby Invoker. Now, before we hop into the main content of this video, I just want to let you guys know that you can check out guides just like this one, made by top tier pros, and have over thousands of different options over at GameLeap.com. Now, let's get into the main video. Interesting enough, he does two really odd things this game. Really, really odd. First off, he starts with a Bassi, which now gives you 8 damage. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. And then the second thing he does is go Wex, but you're like, well, what's so special about going Wex? It's the way he goes Wex. So he doesn't actually straight up go into Wex. He goes Exhort, Quas, and then maxes out the Wex, basically right after, whenever he can. And you notice he actually loses mid pretty hard as he fells the Sunstrike. That's something to consider. You should be Sunstriking range creeps. However, he loses mid pretty hard, but has a very, very large impact in this game and does a great job carrying even after having a very difficult laning stage. So let's check it out, and yeah, hopefully we can learn a lot about Invoker. Alright, so the first thing I want to note about his game, you'll actually, I just want to point out, guys, like, this is sort of the weakness of Invoker. He's 11-2 to the 36-19 of the Bloodseeker, and they actually managed to win this game. So basically what I'm going to be talking a lot about throughout this replay is how to sort of make a comeback as Invoker, and this is the first thing you have to do. You just have to be paying attention to Sunstrike opportunities. If you don't do that and you're behind, you're going to have a very, very small impact. You notice here, he knows the Silencer's going to man up and helps out with the Sunstrike. Does he get the kill? No. But it's allowing his team to at least have better side lanes, considering he lost mid this hard. Also, you notice he invests a lot into stats. If you're behind, you have to buy items like Wand, your Null Talisman. He has the Bassi already, and this allows him to actually have a decent laning stage, even though it went so bad. He can sort of come back now, right? And that's very important, considering you can see how much he's actually getting run at in this game. It's pretty insane. So in this case, you're going to notice he's getting dove, and he's already... He's 0-1. I mean, this is pathetic. I just want to... Not pathetic, I'm sorry. That was the wrong word. But basically, he's getting brutalized by this Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker is one of the better laners now, especially after all the buffs he's received, especially the Bloodright in particular. And he is dumping on Abed. And, you know, that's not me trying to put him down. I'm just more impressed that he actually manages to come back into this game by making one of the coolest adjustments that I've ever seen, which is switching it up and going for the Wex a little bit later on. So the first interesting play he makes is that he was jungling from around the 7:30 to the 8-minute mark, and he makes this different rotation bottom, right? He actually doesn't TP here strictly to gank. In fact, he just instantly shows in the wave. It's almost as if he wanted to pressure this tower, right? He has a Leshrac, which gives him a bit of a capability to pressure the tower, right? This Leshrac does have level 2 Diabolic Edict. However, I don't think the majority of Invokers would even consider making this play. In fact, I don't think I would recommend a lot of players to make a play like this. However, his rotation actually does scare them off and allows them to get a tier 1 tower, right? Not only that, but he can somewhat safely farm his lane now, which is quite good for him, right? He's going to go for the Urn and catch back up here. And you notice the team's getting pressured, but it's much better for him to lane against this Lifestealer, who he actually can get quite a bit of denies against, rather than the very strong Bloodseeker that we saw throughout this game. And most of the time, this rotation to the bottom lane is what the carry would do. Especially because the carry is usually one of the weaker heroes in the game, right? For instance, a Void could do it this game, especially when his Chrono's down. He's just absurdly weak at this current point in time. So a Void would want to take a lane like this. However, due to how bad his game went, not only does he buy the tome, but he's taking the safer farm, right? This might seem a bit dangerous, but it is fairly safe. And then once the Bloodseeker shows bottom, as a result of him pushing in the lane, he's instantly off back to the mid lane, right? Sort of spreads him out a little bit. And now he's on the way back to catching up, right? The Bloodseeker is level 9, so he's still giga behind. However, with this tome, he's on pace to catch back up at the least. And you notice he's rotating a bit now, right? He picks up his Urn, and this is a huge kill for him, right? I mean, for any Wex Invoker, you understand how big of a deal it is to get your Urn charges. So at this point, I think he's made a really good recovery few plays in a row. His team is still giga far behind. This is, you know, once again, the weakness of Invoker, losing lane this hard to heroes like Bloodseeker or Monkey King. However, he did take the tier 1 bottom, he did force the Bloodseeker bottom, and he did get some Urn charges and pressured out that Timbersaw. Now in this case, he's actually just straight up looking to fight. They make a really nice play onto this Bloodseeker, and are able to actually kill him off. And this is his way back into the game. And basically, if he went for Exhort, his only options in this fight would be a stronger Sunstrike, which is pretty good here. Actually, it would be solid for him to be Sunstrike here, frankly. Even in this case, maybe that is the argument you can make. However, he's able to even shoot out a Tornado, controlling the Bloodseeker even a little bit more. So I think the Wex, kind of a nice way to catch back up if you are having a good game. Now, I understand the argument where, well, for Exhort, you have a better Sunstrike pickoff capability, you split push faster, and yes, this is fair. But I think he felt that in this game, if he does not go this active build, and he has a fairly greedy duo core, you know, Sand King, it's not greedy, but you know, a little bit. He has a Leshrac support, definitely one of the greedier supports by a large margin. And then a Faceless Foot, a hero with very large cooldowns, right? If he plays also a split pushy large cooldown sort of build, well, not that, you know, Sunstrike is giga large cooldown, but the same idea where you can't necessarily make plays, right? The Void doesn't want to have to make plays all the time. Neither does Exhort Invoker. That's typically how it goes. And as a result, I think he goes for the Wex build and sort of substitutes. Now you notice even with the Wex build, he's still going to jungle a little bit. It's not like you're going to completely ignore the jungle. Even though you are going Wex and not Exhort, you are going to jungle a bit. You notice he uses Alacrity, he has no problem using Tornado, he ships out Clarities. He's basically doing whatever he can to catch up as fast as possible. You notice now the Bloodseeker is level 11, and so is he. Sure, he did take a tome, which hurt his team a bit. I'm not going to deny that. However, he is back in the game now and can have actually fairly decent impact. In fact, they catch out this Bloodseeker. Frankly, I don't know. Mance is just feeding, but you can see the importance of what he's doing this game. You know, he's still farming. He goes Wex so he can rotate around, and I think this is a really, really impressive way to play Invoker. So this next play, I know I stress it a lot throughout the replays that I do watch, but just looking for the open lane. In this case, Sand King is farming mid. Faceless Void is farming top. He killed off quite a bit of the jungle camps, so his option in this case is to TP bottom, and he has no problem doing that, right? He does value the lane creeps over the jungle creeps, so he does TP bottom, still while paying attention to his Sunstrike. Sure, he doesn't get the kill. Guess he's not fast enough. Trash. But hopefully you guys see the point. You're looking for the open lane, and now he's back to the tri-camp. And he can take a few Ancients, he can continue looking for Sunstrikes, and if bottom lane gets pushed back in, he can head there. Which you notice he actually does. He pings out this Timber Saw. He's like, oh, I have Spirit Vessel, we can kill him. Once again, his team is making actually so many good plays. As he... he tries to steal the kill. Don't do that, guys. Don't be that guy. No, I think he had good intentions. He actually does just want to get some farm. Now, finally, I just want to lastly kind of show off the power. Not only do all three of their cores actually have some form of lifesteal or large HP regen, but it actually this build, the Spirit Vessel, enables him to get this Timber Saw kill. It would have been much, much harder. I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened. You know, the Cold Snap plus a Meteor might have also been enough. However, the Spirit Vessel is what really topped it off and is going to allow him to continue getting kills on this Timber. While his team does have Timber kill potential, but definitely not within Chrono if it's just him in the Void, so this gives them a bit more. At least for the early game, right? I'm not going to say throughout the whole game that an Exhort is worse for Chrono. That's definitely not the case. We actually talked about this combo in the Teamfight combo video, how devastating it can be late game. But in the early game, both these heroes do need quite a bit of levels to actually deal damage, and the Spirit Vessel really helps out with that. Now, once again, I know I stress this, and I say this all the time, but please, I'm going to keep saying it until I feel like everyone understands this concept. Looking for the open lane as Invoker, and this is what I mean by quote-unquote split pushing. In fact, I want to retitle the phrase at some point, not necessarily to split pushing, but to split farming. I think this idea of split farming is massive for heroes like Invoker, massive for a hero like Slark in many games. It really applies to a large amount of cores in Dota, and it's something that you're probably underutilizing. You notice, before we look at this fight, which obviously looks good for them, I mean, huge Ice Blast, but we look at what's happening now, the Lifestealer TP's top, right? I mean, naturally, Lifestealer, he's having a bad game, right? He's having a bad game, so he just wants to farm. But you notice, now, this just simply means that the Lifestealer is not in the fight. He's not in the area to help them out, right? Not saying he would show up anyway. However, it gives them a little bit more comfort and allows them to get a few more kills. But you notice, once again, right after this fight ends, where is he going, guys? It's really this simple pattern where, I mean, he can't kill this Lifestealer. He's even going to wait for the Lifestealer to push in the lane before he actually shows. However, he's looking for this open farm. He understands how much the lane means for his hero in general. And, you know, the fact that this does actually put map pressure. He uses Alacrity, the Meteor. He's even going to go for another wave potentially. Actually, in this case, he uses his Forge Spear to sort of push it out just to be safe, which is a great play, right? Not overcommitting, making sure the lane's shoved in, but not, not suicidal. And now that he's already here and he gets the Timber to show, because Timber's pushing in the wave, they have a lot more kill potential, right? They set up the AA Blast, they get the Sand King in, hits him up with that Spirit Vessel, the Cold Snap, and looks like he's lagging out or something. But hopefully you guys saw the pant with that clip. And this is what I mean, split farming and looking for all these pickoffs. I mean, his team has played fantastically this game, frankly. They've enabled him a lot to get back into this game. Some really good Sand King, Leshrac, and AA plays for sure. I mean, Void has done his part as well. However, hopefully you can sort of just see like what the jungling and the split farming and the clarities and all these little things do to catch you back up into this game. If he just ran around and tried to fight the entire time, even though he went Wax, I guarantee he would fall behind, maybe probably die at least once, and therefore his whole game would get ruined and they'd get thrown off. But instead, now, he's the second highest net worth in the game. Did you see how his laning stage went, guys? That was insane. He was 0-2 and had like 10 CS, while the Bloodseeker had 40, and yet he's in this game. You cannot give up, gotta stay in your games, keep your head up, and make some plays. And what I mean by make plays is farm, you actually can just farm. That can be your play, frankly. And before the next thing, before I read a lot of comments saying like, Speed, but this is Immortal game. In my game, this would never happen. No, that's not true. That's not true. At all. The same things happen. Like, anything you see in an Immortal game also happens in any bracket below. Like, that's just not how it works. Like, if you improve to the skill level of Immortals, or understand Dota on the level of Immortals, you will be able to apply the concepts to every other bracket. Now, this next fight I want to take a look at a bit. He does get Global Silence very early on. He was about to initiate right here. You can see it was a good opportunity just to kind of get on top of the Bloodseeker, who does not have his BKB yet. However, he gets Global Silence, right? And you notice his positioning. He stays back, right? This is very important in the majority of Invoker fights. Regardless of if the fight breaks out or not now, he still is out of the fight. You're still able to cast spells from very far away. Half the time what I would see here is that when the Invoker casts EMP, or you cast EMP as Invoker, you'd be here by now. Because instead of just clicking the EMP here and staying on the max range, you're like clicking in. Basically what I call it is following your spells. You don't want to follow your spells on Invoker. In fact, you want to run the opposite direction of your spells the majority of the time, unless you're in like heavy advantage, right? If the fight's won and you want to chase them down with some Ice Wall, things are a bit different. Remember though, guys, never stop farming. He's level 19, it's 25 minutes in. That doesn't change anything. You notice he's still pretty low on CS, but if we look at the net worth, he's the second highest still. In order to stay on top of your net worth, or at least in second after a hard game, is to always look for the next camp, look for the next lane, especially after going for kills. You notice in this situation, if you look at the map, right, they might go for this Lifestealer kill, right? They might. However, if things don't work out, his natural reaction will be to go find the next camp, right, to continue farming. So you notice the fight breaks out top in this case. What does he do? He pushes in the lane. It's sort of that simple, right? It's sort of that simple. Whenever things break down and maybe not go in your favor, you still want to continue farming so that you don't just fall behind and waste too much time, right? Once again, fight breaks down, his Void and his Sand King dies, he pushes in another wave, right? That's it. That's it. Looky here, so he goes, after TPing out of bottom, where does he go? And this is key for a lot of split pushing heroes, or like split farming heroes, I want to call them now, for the most part, is that he TPs from bottom to top, right? After he forces TPs from top to defend bottom, or maybe even pick them off, he immediately TPs top and keeps the space going, right? Now in this case, he sees the enemy team pushing the tier 2 bottom, so he sends his Force Spirit to the lane, right? Pressuring in the lane, continuing pressure, and sure, his team dies. He can't control that. You can't control that in your games, which you should accept, but now he comes over in defense, right? He's not AFK, there's a separation, right? You can farm. It's very good to farm and keep up pressure. You notice he gets the lane in, but still, at this point, now that it's 28 minutes in, he's ready to show up to the fights. And here comes the combo. Things pay off. In a lot of games after this bad of a laning stage, you would see a lot of Invokers being levels 15, level 16, maybe 18 if you're lucky, lower even possibly after that bad of a lane. But because he's level 22, not only does he have Max Exhort, but he also has Cataclysm, and the Faceless Void plus Invoker combo comes into play. So I just want to look at the skirmish real quick. Basically, at this point they can dive, right? The enemy team is dead, or at least their main hero Bloodseeker is dead. So they want to get a quick pick off on the Rubik. Doesn't necessarily go perfectly. They do end up getting the kill, but you notice it's very important, and I know I said this the last fight, but really take this into consideration, all you Invoker players. But basically, when the fight breaks out, if anything goes awry, or you get silenced, or you think you might get stunned, really anything happens. Even if your team's just ever kiting back, you want to kite backwards. You want to stay back on Invoker. Running in is what gets you killed, and it even makes it harder to cast spells. If he's here, who do you cast the Cold Snap on? Like, you still might cast it on Lifestealer, but like, things get awkward. Right? It's even harder to cast your Tornado if you're just like inside of them half the time. But instead, he gets a really nice Ice Wall off, and it has a clear target on the Lifestealer. And once again, I'm going to end the video on this play you see right here, guys. The power of Kid Invoker. I appreciate you watching. If you learn anything about Invoker, or just how to split farm, what you should be doing, how you should play the fights, how to just absolutely explode people with Faceless Void plus Invoker. Void God. I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe and comment down below if you have this set yet. I personally haven't got it. Haven't played Invoker in a few months. But I actually do have 100 or so games on this hero. I mean, who doesn't? This hero is so much fun. If you haven't learned Invoker yet, you're sort of new to Dota, I recommend you give him a try. He's very difficult. This is true. However, the payoff is great. When you get good at Invoker, I don't think there's any hero that feels better than dominating a game with Invoker, and especially with this new Kid Invoker. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Hey guys, before I leave you, I just want to remind you that over at GameLeap.com, you can check out guides just like this one, made by top tier pros. It will help you gain MMR faster, it will help you learn the game much more in depth, and overall, just increase the experience of your Dota gameplay, as you will crush your opponents simply by knowing more than them.
That keeps things moving. That's the nature of life. So in this idea then, everybody is fundamentally the ultimate reality, the deep down basic whatever there is. And you're all